So that's what I'm working on today. And essentially what the story of this track is that I think I came up with it kind of very soon after my last album, and it's kind of like, I think it was intended as a follow-up to a track called Revenge of the Krill, which in turn was a follow-up to another track I did on my previous album, which was about like 10 years ago now, about longer than 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, which is called I Am Plankton. But in the intervening period, since finishing Revenge of the Krill, which is the one that I released in October 2019, kind of my musical development has continued because I've been, making lots of music. And I think this is one of the situations that a lot of musicians and music producers and composers, particularly people who produce music, actually find themselves in. I mean, I'm sure that plenty of people are familiar with that kind of situation where you are finishing, or you're kind of working on music, but the music that you finished like 6 months ago kind of no longer feels relevant. Has anyone had that situation? Because what you're working on and where your taste is, if you like, or where you are, is always kind of ahead of the, well, not always, but often ahead of the music that you're finishing, or the music that you have finished. And this can be a real problem because it means that we never kind of end up finishing anything or end up releasing anything. And I think this is exactly the situation that I've fallen into. So one of the things I decided to do when I said, right, this is ridiculous, I've just got to finish the music. I've just got to get some music out because it's just, I've got to walk my walk and talk my talk. And so there was quite a lot of music that kind of did fit what I'm doing now, but also there was some music that it kind of felt like it would be a shame not to develop some ideas which would be a shame not to put out just because I kind of moved on from them. And so I decided to figure out if there was some of these ideas that I could make more like me now. Now, if you're kind of in that kind of a situation, obviously what that requires is being clear about what you are now, what you are doing now. It means being clear about what your sound is, even down to the kind of sounds that you're using. Yeah. What is the vibe that you're going for? Not just the vibe, really, but the vibe springs from the kind of things that you're doing, the kind of sounds that you're using, the sound palette that you're using, and what you're doing with those sounds. And also that's just one example of it. There are lots of others as well, but the most obvious one is the sounds. And what you're doing with them. So the good news about this one is that there's a piano in there. So that makes it easier for me already because I kind of decided, since I finished my last album, I'm just going to make piano a kind of integral part of what I'm doing right now. And this already had a piano in it. And the thing that it isn't, though, is, the other thing that I have made an integral part of my sound is, well, not actually that so much, the Moog DFAM. Anyone who's watched any of my stuff has seen me kind of blither on about it constantly because I absolutely love it. So what I did was I actually recorded in some DFAM parts, and I did this a while back actually, because because the version you just listened to doesn't have any DFAM in it. It's kind of got this beat here. Hang on a minute, let me just change to Mac Cam. There we go. Hello, Jace, Rob, and Rick. So we've got this beat here, which is a loop. Hang on a minute, what's going on? It's strange. Why is that not soloing? We've got some strangeness going on. Let's just do this. Okay, hang on a minute. That'll be why. There we go. Very unusual situation here. Hang on. Oh, there. That's why. Yeah, which is kind of, it's like a disco E loop. Yeah. So Jace is asking how I'm liking Luna. I'm loving Luna. It's brilliant. Love it. There's a lot of things I don't like about it. There's a lot of things it doesn't do as well as other stuff, but certainly for the finishing part for me, it's great. But the best, the thing about it, well, actually, there's two things about it that that have, it's almost like I couldn't not use it. One is the sound of the summing and the way that it does the tape and the summing. It kind of almost forces you to into best practice. And it reminds you of things that you forget, like gain staging and things like that. So you kind of you're almost forced into, because if you've got something going into the all the way into the red like that, a needle going all the way into the red, you go, hang on a minute, and that reminds you that you haven't checked certain things. So that's something, But aside from that, the actual sound of the summing and the tape together, when used judiciously, is great. So that's one thing. And bear in mind, the summing you have to pay for. So that part of it is not free, even for Apollo owners. Which I don't have a problem with, by the way. They've done an amazing job here, so I don't expect them to do it for free. But anyway, so that's one thing. But then the other thing is the way that you select stuff just saves an enormous amount of time. And the way they've set it up, it's kind of set up for mix engineers, I think. It's kind of, you can tell that UAD is very much they're quite a core audience, I think, are mix engineers. So if you're not doing the mixing, if you're kind of not into that side of it, I wouldn't really recommend it, so much. But if you enjoy that kind of thing, it's brilliant. I've yet to find not that I've used all of them. I haven't used Pro Tools. I've used Ableton, Cubase, not for years though. Cubase, I've used Ableton, Cubase, Logic, and Reason. And out of those ones, and bear in mind, I've not used Reason for a long time. I've not used Cubase for a long time. Out of Ableton and Logic, I've yet to find one that is quite as awesome for the end of the process. So, all right. So, so I've got these DFAM parts first of all. So there's basically a couple of things that I need to try. 3 things, in fact. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to keep these sessions to an hour or thereabouts, okay? Because yesterday I did a really, really long one, and I just want to, I think it's probably better, but just keep these sessions to an hour, and if I want to do more, I'll do another session rather than kind of extending these out onto going on forever. So just, you can go back to your walk soon, Jace. So, right, let's, so I've got these different DFAM parts in here. That's one of the things I need to do. The other thing is, I always use the Vangelis style kind of improvised pads where they're sort of, there's usually 2 parts, So, you know, the kind of soaring Vangelis style synths, that's the sound. And how I am using them is I tend to have two of them playing, and they're kind of having this sort of conversation with each other. So that's, you know, something else that kind of is, well, it's not in all of the music, but that's something that is often there. I mean, this gated pad, which I'm going to have to do again in Logic, because one of the things I want to do is I want to do a different part, and also the gate kind of completely gates it off at this point here. Here. That kind of is very me now, but yeah, I mean, really, I think that in order to really kind of hit the center of the bullseye in terms of sounding like Mike Monday, I kind of have to hit a few more things because the rhythm is so different from a lot of the other stuff. So let's just check out this. Actually, one of the things I need to do. Yeah, I'm going to zero all of these as well. So it's going to be a little bit of faffing around. Before I started this session, I was going to start earlier actually. Before I started this session, I did actually import the DFAMs into Luna, and I made them the right tempo, because I think these two are a bit slower than they're supposed to be, because I did it in an earlier version, which was slower. Because I thought that would be incredibly dull. So hang on, right. I don't seem to have sorted this out very much at all. Where is that? There it is. Let's put this over here. And let's put that. I think it's, what is it? Is it that? Yes. Get in. Right, brilliant. So mix bus. Now the reason I'm putting this mix bus on here is, hang on a minute, and there's no summing on there, is that what I've noticed is that, you know, you don't really, especially on the main out, you don't want to be going far into the red, otherwise it's going to start sounding a bit like that. So essentially, by having a mix, and this is in Luna, so if you're not using Luna, just kind of ignore it. But by having everything going into a mix bus here, rather than going straight into the main out, if you get your gain staging not quite right, which very much does happen, you can just turn down the fader a bit, because obviously this is a floating point, so you don't need to worry about that. What am I doing? Mix bus. There we go. Great. Just checking everything's at 0. All right, we're all good. So now everything's going to be very much out of whack, which is okay. So now there is going to be an issue, I think, with this, in that I would really like to add in this, just because it sounds good, and it definitely puts this into the kind of, you know, current Mike Monday territory. Yeah. The only problem is it's very tonal, right? So it's got a real tone to it, and the problem is with that we've got this bass line which is going to conflict. Yeah. In fact, I've moved it. So in fact, let's do it over here. Right. Okay. Which is going to conflict with it. Oh, sorry. The solution might be what I actually did here just before this, before I went live, which is actually when it goes into that, just take it out. So that might be a solution. I'm just going to see if there's another solution, because here the bass goes into just a single note, and it will probably be fine. Yeah. Because if we play these three together. There is going to be a bit of a problem down at the bottom end though. And there was already a problem down at the bottom end. so I'm not sure this is a good idea, but I'm going to try it anyway. Let's see if we can figure it out. All right. So first of all, let's just make sure I've got the levels going okay. Right, now where's that going? Doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Maybe I've got it going to ascend. Turned off ascends. Yeah. This was the last time I worked on this. I didn't really know what I was doing, Luna. So now I'm a bit more familiar with it. And this is one of the things like I really, really want people to get. The best way to learn how to do something is to do it, even without knowing how to do it. Yeah, so you can see I did something there, and the reason that I'd sent the whole of this, yeah, to the drum sum by ascend was because I hadn't worked this out. Yeah, but that's not a problem. Yeah. What's that, Jace? Jace is asking, am I pitch shifting that downward? What do you mean by that? If you mean the bass line, no, the bass line is actually playing notes. Anyway. Let's get this. Just go much higher. No, about right. Okay. I think I know. I think I know what you're referring to. Down at the bottom, it sounds a bit crunchy, doesn't it? That bass is a bit. In context, it doesn't bother me too much. It's one of those things that I've left, and I may well put it up an octave or something. I don't know. Right. So now, where's that going? It's just going to the main. So, hang on, I don't want to send that to the mix bus. What am I doing? Drum summing. There we go. For drum summing. Okay, let's just do this now. I don't know why I'm calling it drum summing because I actually probably put the bass in there as well. Anyway, let's just sort this out now. Sure you can. There we go. Yeah. Okay. I have a feeling this might be slightly out of time as well. This defam beat. Let's check it over here. Oh, not over there. Over here. I think it might just be a little bit off. Seems about right. All right. Where's it meant to start? It's probably the best idea, isn't it, Michael? Come on. Bass, where are you? Bass! Bass! Serum bass. There. Where was that? There. Let's put you in there as well, because I'm going to be working on the three of you together. All right. We got there in the end. There we go. Oh, no. Hello. Stay there. Stay in the corner. There's a little bit of a flam there, but I'm gonna leave it because I think I might quite like it. I'm not sure. Right. So we've got those two going to the drum sum. I'm just going to get them sounding okay together. I'm going to call. I think I'm just going to call this the drive bus. Again, I'm just coming up with my way of doing things, and this has been the way that I'm choosing to mix. It has been highly influenced by Michael Brower, my namesake, where essentially I'm sending certain things to a bus, which is going to be then compressed at that bus. Now I'm not going full Brower, so I'm not, you know, I'm not using specific plugins, and I mean I'm using some of the same ones. So usually on my drive bus, where has it gone? Inserts. I haven't put anything on this, but I will put ultramarine. This isn't actually Michael Browerish tool, but this is a Fairchild thing. And then I also, what I've been doing is putting the distressor on there. And I've even got, I think I've got a preset saved, but it's not actually Browrise drum bus. There you go. But I don't think it's actually correct. No, it's not. Okay, but anyway, let's start with this. And what I might do is just keep the bass going as well. It for now so that it does the same things. Got to look at the instructions for this because I'm not sure about this over here. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about it for now. Now this is going to be fiddled around with in general. Got to add a console one in here. Yep. So this is like a kind of let's get rid of this. A balancing act. Which is going to change as things get added and things get taken out, but I'm just getting a vague. Let's just turn that down a bit. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make sure that I get rid of the mistakes, well not the mistakes, but the things that I did before when I didn't know how it worked. No! Undo. This, let's get rid of. Piano sum, that's all good. Piano sum's going to mix bus. Felt piano is, so hang on, so piano sum there. I get rid of that there, and I put that here. There we go. One thing's annoying, I can't drag that up to there. I wish I could. But I will now. I'll just do it. Boom. It's not even on. So it doesn't matter. There we go. Whew. Right. So the other great thing about this, and I don't know whether you can do this in Pro Tools or not, because I've never used Pro Tools, but it's like being able to hide things. Yeah, so I can hide tracks and stuff, and you know, being able to hide the send and all that kind of stuff. It's just so helpful. Hello, Benoit. How are you doing? Good to see you. Right, so the other thing I haven't got on any of this is tape. Or have I? I have. Oh, there we go. So really, what I should have done, and again, I'm just figuring all this out as I go along, is what I probably ought to have done is this first before going here. but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's just get these settings vaguely right. For now. Hang on. No, actually. Sometimes I don't know whether it's level or something else. Yeah, Benoit, the bass does actually go an octave lower. We were talking about that earlier, in fact. So if it went an octave lower, it wouldn't be able to do this. Right. What have I got going on in Studerland? Okay, so there's something going on here. Let's find out. Ah. What a fool! Mike Monday, you are a fool! This is why Luna is so helpful, because remembering to gain stage things properly is something that just you keep forgetting, because you've got so many, you know, even just with 1, 2, 3, 4 things in it, you just forget what's on, and then you listen to something, and it's and so with these needles, you know, you can see that something's going on there. Let's just turn that to. That's more like it, right? But also we've got this. You can see it. Well, actually, that's okay. Because, you know, that needle wasn't moving at all, which meant that this signal was too quiet. And the reason that signal was too quiet was because I gain staged it with plugins on. Ooh. Not I gain staged it, but, you know, I turned it down because I had plugins on it. Right? So. But what Luna does is it shows you where the problem might be, where there might be a problem, yeah, in your chain. It yanks your chain for you. It goes, I'm going to yank the chain and remind you. Yeah, that's great. Here's the difference there. Now, is that quieter or just different? Well done, Benoit. Benoit's almost finished his first track with the automatic music machine. Now that is a red letter day. That's a day to remember for sure. There are going to be many, many more, Benoit. I guarantee you. Benoit's one of my new leapers, just been through the class. We've got a final coaching call. Well, nearly final because we're doing an extra class about live streaming soon. But yeah, our final official coaching call for the leap in a few hours. Right, let's check this out. I'm not sure about that. Maybe that. I think there's plenty of top on that. Yeah, let's just leave that there like that. I'm not sure, maybe I've taken too much off that there. What's that? Yeah. Make it a bit more open. Tighten it up. Man, so Jason's saying, man, the AMM didn't really start to get in tune for me until these past 2 weeks. Yes, it does take time. It does take a little time to figure out. But it's not bad, is it? How many weeks is that? It's like, what, 6 weeks? 7, 8 weeks, something? Now, what I'm wondering is... No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this in here now, and before messing around anymore, okay, we're all good there. So what I might do, because this is a very, very stereo beat, can I mono adjust the low end? I think maybe I have to use a different one actually. There we go. Okay, let's just turn you down a bit. Yeah, just by doing that, it brings the kick drum in to the center. It was like that before, but that'll do for now. Okay, so Because I don't want to make the whole thing. Stereo. Sorry, I don't want to make the whole thing mono because I like the way the hats are kind of going like that there. So how are we doing for time? Oh, wow, blimey. Right, okay, I've only got 20 minutes left. So let's see if we can make some progress there. Yeah, I mean. I'm going to get this in next. Turn him down and a minute. So one thing I forgot to do is check this. Yeah. So let's go back. Yeah. Wrong one. This one. What I'm thinking is I might put on that chain again that I had. Let's see what that sounds like on the track I was working on yesterday. That one, I think, or maybe this one actually. Okay. Now, this is one of the benefits of identifying the sounds and the things that you're using, is that this is a DFAM. This is a DFAM setting from a previous tune. Now, obviously, that setting is going to change somewhat for this tune because it's a different tune, and all the tracks are different to each other. But I know that this sounds good on a DFAM in that frequency range, doing the same kind of thing. Yeah, so it's saving me a lot of time in lots and lots of different ways. Yeah, not only at the start of the process, but also at the end of the process. So I really, really recommend, as you're making music, start zeroing in on the things that you're going to be using that are going to be defining your sound, both in order to create a unique sound for yourself, the sound, or your sound, but also just to make things a lot simpler. All right, let's just. Right, okay, so what do I want to do there? Just what was the next one? I think it was Century. Yeah, just brings it in. great. Now, what is worrying me though? Hang on a minute. Oh, have I messed up again? Hang on. No, we're all right. Let's just turn you off though. So can you hear that? Like, so like watch the level here. Yeah. And then I'm going to turn off and on the this plugin, and listen to the difference in level perception. Yeah. So let's do it without first. Yeah. It's not maybe touch changing the level, but nowhere near what you hear. Flattening it up. Right. What else did I have? There was something else. What could it have been? I'm going to leave it at that for now, rather than faffing around anymore. So this is right. I think in this session, I'm basically just going to get to figuring out whether this serum-based thing is going to work with the defam. I'm just out of interest. I'll just play you the other defam parts I've got in, which I think almost definitely will work. These ones, they're probably going to be too loud or something now, but listen. So it's got that defam changing thing. Now, obviously, where those hats are placed is wrong at the moment, but those are the other things I'm going to get in. At the moment, I'm just focusing on the bass, and I'm really hoping I can get these to work together. It's probably ill-advised to try, but I want to. And like already getting those defams in, I was starting to hear the kind of wah, you know, the poo face, the synth lines that make me do poo faces. You know, those type of parts. I could already hear it because I got the defam thing going. So check something down here. Now, the problem with this part, and it always has been the problem, and this is one of those things where I'm not sure I've quite got the ability to fix it, is that this has got this bass end on this. Oh, stop it. Okay. Right, if you listen, what can I do to show you exactly what I'm talking about? I can do this. All right, so where are we? So if I turn down the high end on this, so I do a high cut, listen to the low end. It's not enough. Let's go for a different strip. Hello? Yeah. So that's without any of the high end on it at all. Be interesting. Because what it can end up doing is just sounding like, yeah, it's a bit rubbish. So I know what I can do. I can automate the low cut, of course. So when, brilliant. I bet that'll work. Because those two, I just think if I'm going to try and make those two low ends work together, it's just going to be an absolute beep fight. So I'm just not. I don't have the room. As you can see, I've not got my room treated. I don't have the speakers. I don't have, and I probably don't have the skill to be able to make those two things not fight with each other. So what I can do is that when this isn't playing, I can go. So I have it with the fat bottom end, yeah, and then when the I can go. Yeah, but I have to be careful because it might reduce them. But I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can automate that. So what I'm going to do is, in fact, what I might do. Aha! Another idea. Duplicate. There we go. So there we go. Oops. That's not what we want. There we go. Right. I won't do it with this one though, and this isn't probably the plugin I'll use anyway. Okay. What am I doing? Right. Now I know I've turned up the bass there, but I'm wondering. What? So what tilt shift is, it's a very like gentle, yeah, that just makes things sound less digital. All right, so that bass is now hitting me here. Yeah. So it's just -6. Yeah, I mean, I could. I don't know what this does actually, but it's really cool. So Jace is asking, could we classify what just happened as a discovery moment? I guess so, yeah. I mean, it was more just of an idea that I had about how I could like square the circle with these two things. So schoolboy error once again. Didn't realise that was on. That's going to be causing a real problem for this. Right, let's try. Actually, no. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try it with the bass setting because there was something about that I liked. And let's try taking off the bass here now. The high end. Just try. Wait a minute. That's. So this is. I did read the manual for this yesterday. I don't think that works when you've got it on these settings down here. That doesn't do anything. I seem to remember. So this is just turning down the decibel, so 9 decibels at 50 dBs. think that might be all right. I think that might be okay. I'm not sure though. Just wait till I send it to Klaus. It'll be like, Mike, what have you been doing in the basis? How many times have I told you, Mr. Monday? You're not allowed to do things like this. Right, let's check what's going on here. Now let's go back to in. Want it to be just giving a little tickle. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Got to remember we've got the distressor going as well. Alright, fine. Now let's just the out. So now I've set that one, right, and at the moment that's sounding okay to me. What do you think? Sounding okay? How long have we been going? I'm going to stop in a sec. Said I'll keep these to an hour. Okay, yeah, so that's sweet to me, but what I'm going to do is final thing I'm just going to do before I go is I'm just going to finish this process here, and I'm going to get rid of the, I don't know what happens, can I copy these on top? Remove, right, because I basically want this sounding like the same thing. Oops, what did I do? Remove, but with more bass end. And I know that's the same because it is. Now I'm confused. Oh, this one. Okay. So probably the best way of doing this would be to have, I mean, I've really got to hear it in context. Oh. Steady on! Yeah. So let's listen to this. Without that. Not right. Come on, Michael. There we go. Hang on a minute. That doesn't seem right. That's not what I had on there before. What? Oh, all right, there we go. So what I'll do, just for the purposes of this little experiment, I'm going to go that. I'm just going to get rid of this first half. And then review over here somehow. Yeah. Right. This is the low cut. Sounds a bit different, but I think it'll be alright in context because it's not going to do this exact thing. Is because that ain't going to be the way it is anyway. It's going to go like this. Basically, we want to make sure that it just doesn't sound like a totally different sound. So that goes over here, and let's just do a little test with the other parts, which are going to be all over the place, but it doesn't matter. As I said, everything's going to be super loud. Let's just do a quick one. Mix bus, mix bus, mix bus. Drive bus, piano sum, mix bus. What on earth is going on there? Gated pad sum. What? I must have named that wrong. Okay. Right. gated pad sum supermassive reverb. There we go. Put you to the mix bus. They're going to need a bit of faffing around with. Basically, I think that is going to work. Okay, I think that's okay, because the problem with this bass has always been, the serum bass, has always been the thing that I was talking to you about before, which is that when you've got it on, particularly when you've got it on one note, let me just play this one over here, particularly when you've got it on one note, and you just listen to the bass end, just yeah. But with this thing, the defam beat, if that takes over the sub end of things, that's actually moving nicely. Because there's just no movement there. It's just like it's just like. Yeah, but this at the bottom is moving nicely with the beat. You hear that kind of? It's moving. Yeah. Whereas this one wasn't. So actually, I think if I can get it right, and it's not right at the moment, but if I can get it right, having this in the bass, you know, as the kind of sub movement. And taking the sub out of this is actually an improvement. Whereas what I came into this thinking was that it was going to, you know, could I actually make this work? Like, is this actually going to be possible? But actually, I think I can make it work. And furthermore, if it does work, or when it does work, it will actually be a lot better. It'll kind of have a lot more life to it down there. So that's the session for today. Didn't quite make the hour, but I'm going to limit these to, I'm going to try and, when it comes up to an hour, I'm going to try and stop what I'm doing so that you know what you're letting yourself in for. So great to hang out with you on this weekend. I'm going to keep doing these. Hopefully most of them will be in my early morning, but not always. So if you want to find out where I'm at with finishing this album, the other thing that happened actually was that I actually identified, where is it? I actually identified these last three. I'm not quite sure about the order of these last three, but these are this is probably the order of the album. So certainly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first 7 tracks I've kind of identified. So that's exciting. I always like it when you get to that point. You start to get to the sharp end. So yeah, if you'd like to see the ongoing journey of me completing this album, make sure you subscribe, remind, and all of the rest of it. And I will see you tomorrow. Onwards, and as they say, upwards.